Okay, so we just covered the goblet squat. So the next squat pattern we're going to cover in this series is the front squat, and what varies on your setup and your execution when it comes to the front squat versus bodyweight squat, goblet squat, and the other squat variations. So again, got Donnie doing a demo here. So first thing we're going to see when it comes to your front squat is going to be what this setup is like. Okay, so there's kind of two options here. One is a handhold with the elbows high. Okay, which is going to be very dependent upon that person's mobility, or it's going to be a cross grip. Okay, so if you want to then go back in. Okay, and it's really going to be whatever's preferable to you. Okay, a lot of people prefer a handhold position, but they don't have the range of motion to get into that. When it comes to the execution of a front squat, because where the bar sits, okay, it now needs to stay over the mid foot. This becomes a very almost like knee dominant squat pattern. A lot of the times you'll break at the knees first, followed by the hips, okay? They allow you to stay upright and keep that bar over the mid foot, okay? So it becomes very much about utilizing the quads, definitely some glute involvement, still some hamstring, but very much quad involvement. Okay, so really that's all we're looking at when it comes to the front squat is in terms of the setup of where the bar sits and in terms of how it's executed, okay? Everything else from the other squat patterns that we talked about, everything from the bodyweight squat carries over in terms of setup, stance, foot position, etc. We're now just working on hand position and basically bracing when it comes to the squat, okay? Perfect, and you can just rack it. So something that you tend to find due to where the bar sits in terms of being very quad dominant and requiring an awful lot of knee bend is if there's not enough range of motion at the ankles, you're probably going to find is that person is unable to really execute a good front squat, or you're unable to execute a good front squat, and it requires you to have to sit your hips back to get into that squat position, and that's not great for a front squat, okay? As soon as you got to lean forward in the front squat, that weight's going to translate forward and the bar is going to fall into the ground. So in that case, you'll probably find with a front squat, it's a case of trying to use a heel lift, which I talked about in the bodyweight squat video, or else something like Olympic lifting shoes where you've got a heel lift on those. Just make sure it's a stable platform, and what it's basically creating for you is some plantar flexion to allow you increased range of motion at your ankle. So Donnie's just going to use the set of weight plates here and show you what that looks like. So he's got the cross grip setup, heels elevated, and that allows him to stay a lot more upright in that squat, break at the knees, and not have to essentially lean forward. So it's much less of a challenge in terms of his ankle range of motion. So that's the real main differences when it comes to your front squat and when it comes to executing the front squat, okay? It's a lot more knee dominant than any of those squat variations. So you're gonna have to it's more of a challenge in terms of ankle range of motion and ankle flexibility. And then this is essentially the squat setup. Are you gonna go cross grip, or are you gonna go hands under? Otherwise, everything else that we covered in the bodyweight setup beforehand is pretty much exactly the same.